during COVID, when it was all the couples couldn't stand being locked in the house with each other. I'm like, what? You can't stand being stuck at home with the person that you chose to marry. You might forget who you are, or like your identity or whatever. But it's like, I know my individual identity and I know our identity. I got lucky because you're secure. Like you were secure when we first got together. But with two people that are on the opposite sides,
then it's,
you both have to create safety for the other person in whatever way that they need it.
Sometimes it's not about the argument of trying to avoid the conflict. It might be someone says, well, I need personal space because they want personal space to do their own thing or to have some time with themselves or to be in their own thoughts. I think in that case, you can ask and say, what do you want to do? An issue.
Well, it's like during COVID when it was all the couples couldn't stand being locked in the house with each other. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, you can't stand being stuck at home with the person that you chose to marry.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me.
That means you should be stuck, right? Because the issue, because you have a lot of stuff under the rug. That's why it's uncomfortable, right? Because the longer that you're in proximity with someone, the closer you'll be, which will uncover the rug stuff.
Right.
And so that's why you're like, okay, I can only be for this long, because you're at the cordial stage. You're not getting to the intimate stage, right? But now you're spending enough time, you get down to the deeper stuff, and that's all that stuff is going to surface. Right. And then it makes you uncomfortable. So you're like, oh, I better not do that again. But you have to endure it and go through it if you ever want to dig that stuff out. And
it does get easier. It's hard at first when you're used to just running away from the things.
Right.
But it's worth it.
And that's the reason why I think that our relationship is so strong, is because we are constantly digging that out. Whatever had ever built up, we dug it out, and then we keep it clean. And if you keep it clean, then you're going to want to be together, and you're not going to have issues as much, and you're not going to suddenly have these blow-ups. Where did that come from? Well, it came from a lot of the stuff that was
buried down there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
No, you're right. And we're not saying that you can't spend any time away from your partner. Like John said, it should be like you should be viewing the things that you're doing, like going to the gym or, whatever that is, as your you time. Like even when I go to the grocery store, I'm like, okay, well, I'm like getting the groceries however I want. Like this is my me time.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like self-care. Like you're going to go to the grocery store anyway. Like it's the same sort of like alone time that you would spend.
Right. You're just not going to the grocery store in order to be
to
alone.
Get away.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't want to confuse people by being like, if you want alone time, you should work on your relationship. But there is something like that is bothering you that you guys need to talk about if you feel like you need the space.
Yeah.
Because you should be getting that in other ways. And that should be enough to fill your like, okay, like I'm an individual, like sort of feeling.
Yeah.
Because like there's never a moment though where I'm like, I don't feel like an individual, but we live from a place of one, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
because a lot of people are like, well, you might forget who you are or like your identity or whatever. But it's like, I know my individual identity and I know our identity together.
Yeah.
Like, and I can understand those things simultaneously. Like, I don't feel like you have to like be hyper independent while you're in a relationship to know who you are.
Right. Exactly.
Like as a person, like I don't need to be like, hey, John, I need 30 minutes every day to just do whatever I want to do and have me time.
Right.
Like I know who I am. I know that if I want to do something, then I'm going to do the thing. Like,
and it's just,
and you would join me or like, I would want you there. Or like you just enhance the situation.
Yeah. It's in general, just good wisdom to do things in public, to live your life in public, in the public eye, because it will prevent you from doing things that you shouldn't do. Right. But also it is just you have nothing to hide. You are, you're not avoiding life. You're not avoiding things. And so I think that's just good wisdom in general, right?
No, yeah, it is.
So what do they say? What's it like, when you're in public, act like you would in private. When you're in private, act like you would in public, like, or if someone's watching you,
yeah,
essentially. And I think that's good.
Well, and if you can't do that with your partner, who can you do that with?
Right.
Like, that's probably, besides just yourself, the person that you should be able to do whatever you want to do in front of.
Yeah, and you can do the activity exactly, like whatever you want to. It's not like you always have to do the same things, but you don't have to be like, okay, well, I need my time to be able to do what I want to do. No, you can still do what you want to do, whether maybe they'll join you, maybe they won't. That's fine, So I think that is just the way of thinking about it.
Too, your partner shouldn't judge you. Like, maybe these people are afraid that they're going to be judged by their partner. And I could see how some people are more judgmental than others, but also if you're one, why are you judging the other half of you? Right. Like, why are you judging your other half? Like, you should love them where it doesn't matter if they like to, I don't know, make their own cucumber recipes. Like, you should be like, oh, that's cute. Do you want me to help you make your cucumber recipes? Like, you shouldn't be like, why the heck is he specifically making cucumber recipes? You know, like, that also, if you're super judgy towards your partner, is probably pushing them to doing more things on their own. And so
that's true.
You should come from a place of accepting your partner if you don't already.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. Or support them.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, if it's illegal, that's a little different. But, if they're like, I want to make cucumber recipes now.
I want to make meth.
Why not? Oh, that's a little different. Don't get us on a list, John. You're just saying all the things.
On the list, so,
You're on a list, maybe.
I'm on the list, but you're on the list with me. So,
that's true.
You're in the, there, and on the board where they got all the pins. It's like there's a rubber band that goes from me to you. Pin. So.
True. But we don't condone that behavior. But don't judge your partner, because that can also push them towards wanting to do things by themselves if they feel judged by you.
Now, what about the whole, when someone says, I need alone time or I need my personal space?
Well, I think you're best to answer this one, because I'm sure that I told you that in the beginning, where I was like, no, leave me alone. Like, I want to be by myself.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough, because also you don't want to come across as desperate, clingy type of, needy type of thing, which, I don't even like those words anyway, because I don't think that also should be in your vocabulary when you're intimate in a relationship, because that, when someone needs you, you shouldn't call them needy or think that they're needy.
Right.
But I think that you do have to push forward to. Yeah,
you can be like, I understand that you want your space right now, but we really need to resolve this. So please come out here and you can talk openly about what's on your mind right now. Like, why do you feel like you want to be by yourself?
Yeah.
Like, what emotions are causing you to feel that way? Or like, what are you afraid of saying in front of me?
Yeah.
But you just have to know too that, like, they might say the wrong thing. They shouldn't.
Sure. Yeah.
But especially if they're not used to it, they might say the wrong thing.
Right.
So you also have to try to be not defensive, especially if you're pulling them out of a place where they feel safe.
Yeah.
You have to try to make them feel as safe as possible by talking to you.
Yeah.
Which might be hard for some people, but that is the best way to get somebody from being avoidant and needing their own space, and to start not doing those behaviors.
Yeah.
More naturally, like, and making them feel like, okay, this is safe. Because in some ways, avoidant people become that way because they don't feel safe.
Exactly, with their emotion. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
With their emotions, or expressing them or whatever it is. So that's why they chose to self-isolate.
Right.
So you do have to do a little bit extra work by making sure they do feel safe. And that's not like accepting everything that somebody says, but it's being empathetic.
Right.
And being like, no, you can talk to me and what like is going on, and, you know, try your best to say like what you mean without allowing your emotions to overtake the situation. You know, whatever you want to say, that's like understanding, but still, you know, like try not to just go off on me, you know, and then that will show the person. Because the thing is, they have to be shown. You can't just say, oh no, come on, just talk to me, like it's fine. And then they do that and then you blow up on them.
Right.
Like that's not going, they're just going to be more avoidant.
Right.
Actually. So it does take
some finesse,
some work. Yeah. But, and especially if like, I got lucky because you're secure. Like you were secure when we first got together. But with two people that are on the opposite sides,
then it's
you both have to create safety for the other person in whatever way that they need it. So like the avoidant person should be reassuring the anxious person, and then the anxious person should give the avoidant person the safety to, you know, it's safe to talk.
And that's where you really, in that situation, you really need to avoid the personal space thing, because you need to be at least in proximity. And that's the other thing I was going to say too, is because sometimes it's not about the argument of trying to avoid the conflict. It might be someone says, well, I need personal space because they want personal space to do their own thing, or to have some time with themselves, or to be in their own thoughts. And I think in that case, you can ask and say, well, you know, what do you want to do? Like, what do you want to do in your personal time? Or what is the reason why you need to, you know, and then if they say something like, oh, I want to journal, or I just want to think about some things or try to solve some problems, then it's okay. Well, yeah, you can do that. And I can read a book while you're doing that in the same room, you know, because I think that's I know it might sound a little weird to some people but it is better, because there's no reason why you have to be alone. Right. In order to, you know, you might be like, well, I just don't want to be interrupted, which is fine, because sometimes you need to work, you need to do something, and you don't want to be interrupted, but you can still be in proximity, which is good. It's a good step. Right. Because if you're like, okay, no, I just need to be totally alone, that's when there's a problem. That's when there's an issue. Right. And